The Knicks' fourth preseason game is in the books. The starters did not play, which means we got an extended look at the reserves and the rookies. And I left last night's game asking the question, did Leon Rose do it again? We're going to break it down on today's show. My question, though, to you before we dive into it is, of these three rookies that all were awesome last night for the Knicks, which one of them do you think has the most potential? Is it Tyler Kolek? Is it Ariel Hukporti? Or Pacome Dadiet? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. You're watching Knicks Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody for stopping by and clicking on today's video as we react to the win that the New York Knicks had over the Charlotte Hornets last night. But I want to do an in-depth, deep dive of the performances that Dadiet, Kolek, and Ariel Hukporti had, because if the New York Knicks are going to be a relevant team, not just this year, not just next year, but into the future when contracts like Cat, Bridges, Jalen Brunson, and others on this team start to balloon, they are going to need cheap players that are going to produce. How do you do that? By adding skilled players in the draft, and I believe that Leon Rose could have added 3 rotational players from the 2024 NBA draft. And let's start with my guy, Pacome Dadiet. I know some people were upset with my instant reaction. I just didn't know how to say the brother's name, and that's why I didn't like the pick. We always knew he had game. We always knew that he was an offensive scorer. We did a video, a mock draft, before the Knicks ended up drafting him, and we did an in-depth preview and a deep dive into the game of Pacome Dadiet. And, man, everything we talked about was on full display. Started the game perfect from the field. He was awesome. He showed you really all the things that he could do well. I thought he moved well without the basketball in the summer league. I thought he looked even better doing so last night. Had a couple of threes as well. He had an and one three from that that corner, the short corner three, the left side of the floor. He also got downhill, and he shows you that he can elevate when he threw it down with 2 hands. I think he runs the floor extremely well, still just 18 years old. He's got a baby face, and I'm not sure that he's going to be someone that contributes or plays a lot of minutes this year for the New York Knicks. But I do believe that Pacome Dadiet playing alongside Mikal Bridges as well as OG Anunoby is going to help his development. Maybe it's not next year. Maybe it's not until the year after that. Maybe it's not till he's 22. But I do think there is a world where Pacome Dadiet could be a guy that comes off the bench and is a scorer for you. The shot looked much improved. The confidence was there, and I was thrilled with how the first-round pick played last night for the Knicks. I expect him to do a lot this year with the Westchester Knicks, and maybe play some for the Knicks in the big leagues, but I do think there is maybe a diamond in the rough here with Mr. Dadiet. Just continue to prove on offense, give effort on defense, and you're going to find yourself a role on this team in the future. I was most thrilled, though, with Tyler Kolek. I know he didn't shoot the ball all that well, 2 of 9, but I think that a way a player can show that he is elite, maybe that's a stretch, not elite. Good players find ways to affect ball games in winning ways, even when their shot is not falling. And Tyler Kolek, he did that. 7 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. I know we talk about how much of a facilitator he is, and that's his best tool. But his passing IQ is unreal. There was a play where he drove to the cup from the top of the key with his left hand, and it looked like he was going to just throw an easy underhand pass to Pacome Dadiet, but the cut opened up the man in the corner for the 3. I believe it was TJ Warren, and he knocked it down. His next level thinking. He is always thinking one play ahead, one pass ahead, like the one where he threw it into Ariel Hukporti on the left block. It left Pacome Dadiet wide open in that left corner. They crashed on Hukporti, and then Hukporti threw it to Dadiet, and Kolek got the hockey assist. I think Campaign is going to be the backup point guard for this team to start the season, but I don't know how long that Tom Thibodeau is going to be able to keep Kolek out of games. He just has too much of a positive effect on that. The IQ, the ball handling, and the ability to initiate and run the offense is something the Knicks lacked last year, and you now have that in a rookie. He's an older guy at 22, 23 years old. I think he's going to be a stud for this team for a really long time. And all you Ariel Hukporti mans, the Hukporti Hive, stand up. You guys have been giving me a hard time because I said, just wait, I don't know. He was the last pick of the draft. I'll say this. In the 2 games where he got extended minutes, when he got an extended run in those 2 games, He's impressed me. And the thing that's impressed me the most about him is the athleticism. He threw down 2 posters last night. We had Walt Clyde Frazier calling him the Master Blaster. Pause. Shout out to Walt. But look, Ariel Hukporti, man, he's got nice soft touch around the rim. We saw that in the Summer League. He's got that little hook shot. He had that nice pass under the corner. He moves well on offense and defense. Elite athlete. Could this potentially be your backup center over Jericho Sims? Look, the Knicks are going to need cheap, productive players this year, next year, and into the future. You are an extremely top-heavy team when it comes to salary. Brunson makes a lot of money, even though he took a discount. Bridges makes a lot of money. Hart makes a lot of money. Anunoby makes a lot of money. Karl Anthony Towns makes a lot of money. You're going to need cheap guys to produce. Because look, right now you are projected at $185.3 million. You're just $3.6 million below that second apron, and you're hard capped at that second apron. So you have just $3.6 million to fill the 13th, 14th, and 15th roster spot. Knicks are only going to have 14 players on the roster to stay below that. One of them was supposed to be Landry Shamet. He's now hurt. We'll talk about that in around the corner. But as you see at the bottom of the screen, how does New York fill out their roster? Convert one of the two-way players. And the two-way player I think that they are going to convert to a full-time NBA deal is Ariel Hukporti. I think he's earned it, as McCullers is still hurt. And I think that Hukporti can do more for this team than Jacob Toppin can. The need for a backup big may be on the same level as a backup wing, but I think Hukporti is closer to being an NBA player and an NBA rotational guy than a Jacob Toppin. And Hukporti's already been a pro. He's played overseas in the pro leagues for a couple of years now. I'm not saying he's going to be a starter. I'm not going to go as far as to say it's MVP Hukporti season like a lot of you guys are. But I saw some stuff that maybe you guys saw before me. Hats off to y'all. Y'all are onto it before I was, just like Leon Rose. And the Knicks, they may have done it again with another great second-round pick, a Big East guard in Tyler Kolek. They may have frickin' hit a draft and stash that's not even going to be stashed in Pacome Dadiet. And the Incredible Hulk, Hukporti. He might just have some juice that's worth a squeeze. Pause. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We put out free, informative videos every single day on your New York Knicks, and we are going to be live for, I would say, 78 of the 82 games this year for the New York Knicks on the channel. So subscribe, turn your notifications on, and you'll never miss a thing. Coming up next, we got to discuss the Landry Shamet injury. It did not look good, and he might be having a serious injury with that shoulder. Supposedly, he walked into the Knicks facility today with his arm in a sling. We'll talk about that and what that means for the back half of this roster. But first, I got to tell you guys about our proud sponsor, Prize Picks. If you love daily fantasy sports, play Prize Picks at prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS. Play a $5 lineup, and Prize Picks is going to give you a $50 lineup for free. Football, basketball, baseball, and college sports as well. Daily fantasy sports made easy. Withdraw your winnings after you win big-time money. All you do is pick more or pick less. You create a lineup of 2 to 6 players. Prize Picks has a projected stat line for those players. You simply pick more or less. We're going with some amateur football this weekend. I think my guy Quinn Ewers, big game Quinn, shout out to him. I think he's going to go more on the passing yards against the Georgia Bulldogs. And then Nico Iamaleava. I practiced that name like 500 times. Not for today's show, but I got it down. Give me the more on his yards. Then Evan Stewart, the former Texas A&M wide receiver. Give me the more on his yards. You can roll with my picks or fade my picks. But if you're going to play daily fantasy sports, I kindly ask, as your friend, to do it at Prize Picks. They are the sponsor of this show. I want to keep them as a sponsor of this show. And the only way we're going to be able to do is that if you guys play Prize Picks. Look, we all think we know sports. We all think we know ball. And I know we all like money. So play Prize Picks. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Promo code CLNS. Play a $5 lineup. Get $50 for free. Alrighty, Landry Shamet left the game last night after he looked to have separated his shoulder. I'm not a doctor, clearly, but the picture literally showed like his ball and socket was not longer a ball and socket. And that sucks because Landry Shamet, 1, is on a non-guaranteed deal. So what are the Knicks going to do about that? 2, he was going to make this roster. And as we showed you earlier, the salary cap, the Knicks cannot afford to pay Landry Shamet if he is not on the roster. So that last roster spot now comes into question. The first guy I thought of if Shamet is seriously hurt and he's not going to be able to make this team and play for a couple of months is what about Marcus Morris? The New York Knicks initially signed Marcus Morris to an Exhibit 9 deal. That was before the Karl-Anthony Towns trade. Then Marcus Morris backed out. They had to cut Marcus Morris first to make the trade work. They then invited him back to training camp. He said no. He hasn't signed with a team. And I have heard that there are people inside the building that believe Morris could be a player that the Knicks target yet again if Shamet's injury is serious. We'll continue to monitor that. We'll continue to update you on that. But keep your eyes on Morris and your ear to the streets to Landry Shamet and what he might be going through when it comes to injuries and his role on this team going forward. Look, Cam Payne continues to impress me. I know it was a preseason game. I know he had an extended run because the starters did not play. And I know he was playing against the Charlotte Hornets. But everything I thought that the Knicks could have gotten Cam Payne is what we've seen so far. A veteran that can create shots for himself, that gets downhill, and that creates shots for his teammates. He's also been able to hit the three ball with some pretty solid consistency so far. He was great in the playoffs last year for the Sixers. I believe he's your starting point guard to start the year, but I think we could see a switching of the guard, no pun intended there, where Tyler Kolek takes that spot over Cam Payne when we get closer and closer to the trade deadline and maybe the All-Star break. And look, we were once a team that was rooting on Tony Douglas and Torrey Murray at the point guard spot. And Chris Duhon, Duke legend. Now we got guys that are pretty dang good. Jalen Brunson, Cam Payne, and Tyler Kolek. We are at a point guard hell, and I'm going to go as far as to say we are in point guard heaven. Precious Achiuwa, the big sneeze slat. He was cooking, my man. Precious was on one. He showed the ability to knock down the corner three from the left side. He hit the top of the key three as well. If Precious Achiuwa can shoot league average from three, he is going to be a major piece and ingredient to the recipe of a New York Knicks championship. 20 points, 16 rebounds, 3 assists. Tibbs loves him. I know we don't want to see Achiuwa and Cat on the floor together. We want to see 5 out. But I can promise you, Achiuwa, probably not going to start, but we are going to see a good amount of minutes with Achiuwa and Cat together. And I think I might like it. Makes me feel nicey. Shout out to Jericho Sims as well. I really do think that he is in a position battle with Hukporti. I think Sims, like Payne, will start the year as the initial guy that gets the call. But as these young Bucks grow, they're going to continue to get more work, and they're going to continue to gain more trust from Thibodeau. We know what Jericho does. He can rebound, he can block shots, and he can throw down some dunks. Super springy athlete. I think he's getting better. I still worry, though, if he is a rotational player on a winning team. Miles McBride, man, he could just put the ball in the basket, and he can guard better than a lot of people in this league. Not going to spend too much time on Deuce. We know what he could do. We know what he could bring. He's going to be the sixth man for this team this year. He needs to have a big year. If he does, this team is going to be really, really scary. I think TJ Warren also is going to be a player that's in the equation to fill that last roster spot if Shamet does end up having to have surgery and is out for an extended period of time. Maybe they look at Warren before they look at Morris. Morris has been in a rotation on a team more recently than Warren, but Warren already on the team, knows the system, acclimated to the locker room. Maybe you just lean on him. He could score. We know that. He did it in the bubble at a rate we hadn't seen from really any other player before in a short sample size. So keep your eye on Warren. Keep your eye on Marcus Morris and that Landry Shamet injury. I'm going to keep you up to date over on my Twitter and Instagram. So follow me over there at @MarshallGreen_, @MarshallGreen_. Hit me up, and let's go Knicks.